we're streaming.
Aurora 714.
Society needs to do a better job of supporting my victims.
Happy feet.
So then what would this be? Is
I
that,
don't hear it anymore.
So what is this? Oh, that's the laptop speaker. I mean microphone. Default Yeti. What we're trying to do is capture the audio of the desktop, but it seems like the only. Wait. Okay, so yeah. Window capture, that's just image. Game capture, or wait, display capture, game capture, I don't know what that is. Audio capture is supposed to be the one where you pick up. Okay, I mean, this. So yeah, see how we can't hear it? It's because test. No, yeah, there would be a horrible feedback if we're actually picking up the mic right now. So. Desktop audio. That is. Oh, wait. No, devices, desktop audio. That's the one we want. And that says it's going. It's. Default. Set the mic to the Yeti.
Just set mic to the Yeti in order for it to work, yeah.
Okay, and then desktop audio.
Right now it's monitoring this.
It's monitoring through the output of this. But then the thing is, we should be able to hear things like the mic, which it shouldn't be muted, right? Like audio input, mic, enable push to mute. No.
Yeah. The monitoring device should be the. Pretty sure should be should be where the same thing as the audio. That's how I had it set before. I had that set to TV, and I said monitoring device set to TV.
Okay, I mean we could do that. It's just that we won't be able to hear.
Unless you can figure it out. Unless you want to set them both to Yeti microphone.
And then,
Is that what you're trying to do?
maybe, I don't know. But that's the thing. We don't want it we actually don't want to hear our own voices in the mic. However, I want to be able to confirm that we can hear them on the stream. So
This is taking I think we're still recording the voice though.
yeah, okay, so in that case, let me just go listen in the other room. Sorry, this is taking...
Bear with us, folks. Trying to figure this out
Yeah,
live.
I can hear us. Now I want to test to see if you can hear the audio from this. Oh, play it.
Graze my genitals again, taint washer, and you'll be shipped to the...
It's coming from the television.
Okay, you can hear it. There's a
Yeah, because
an
it's
echo.
because it's
There's an
picking up
echo.
because it's picking up the
TV,
TV.
even though it's actually playing the audio device itself. I mean, it's playing the laptop audio.
Where's the dog at?
Well, how'd you have it set last time?
Okay, so no, I mean I mean, that's the thing is we're still figuring it out. We did something wrong last time
Where's
as
the
well.
dog at?
Did you put him out, Drew?
No, he's outside. Yeah.
Oh, is he? You know there's no fence back there.
No, it should be closed off.
Oh, sure.
All right. So now we have confirmed that all the audio. Oh, this is the last one. I just want to make sure this is everything's in working order. We're just going to continue the show
Is it in working order?
now.
It's
Yeah.
still echoing though, isn't it?
There's an echo of the audio coming out of the TV is being picked up in the mic, but I don't know if that's a problem that we can solve because the solution would be to just wear the headphones, and then we could just turn down the TV and have the audio of the computer.
Set it what to the computer speakers?
That's what I was trying to figure out, is how to monitor audio, the audio input device. The desktop audio. And why is that?
How was it set up last week where you had it where you just unmuted it? Where it was still reading into the computer. But then you unmuted the computer audio.
I think I was just doing this. So
That doesn't make sense. It wasn't how you would hit mute so that it wouldn't pick up the feedback of the TV, you said?
yeah. Yeah. And if we wanted to comment on something, we'd have to pause it.
So whenever you hit mute on the mic, it would still record on the.
You're still hearing. You're still getting the audio from the laptop. That's not being muted.
All right. Well then, here. Let's see if it works.
All right. So yeah.
I'll play something else.
All right. So yeah. Also yeah. Don't play copyrighted material.
What?
Don't play copyrighted material. We're gonna get fucked.
I'm just playing little clips.
I know, but you need to be careful with that.
Here, go listen and see if this works.
All right. So it's gonna be playing.
Here,
It.
it's the least I can do. I owe you this much. See, Morty? Now we're both accountable.
So yeah, what happened was when I hit mute, there was no more echo in the audio. It was just pure audio, like of the Rick and Morty clip. Does that make sense?
Okay, so I can keep playing the clips.
Whenever you
And
want to,
I'll hear it on the TV,
whenever you want to play
mic will be.
something,
I'll hear it on the TV, but the mic will be muted, so it'll still hear it. They'll still
yeah.
hear it.
But so whenever you want to play something off the computer, the thing is we can't be talking at the same time right now in this current setup.
Yeah.
What you have to do is, whenever you play something off the computer, you hit mute on the mic first, play the content, and then stop it and unmute the mic.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
So it's already set up to be everything.
Yeah, it's everything's
working?
recording
Okay.
still. Yeah, okay, we're gonna resume the show now.
Resume the show.
Let's see if we got anything else to play for you guys before we officially start the presentation.
Play for another 15 minutes. You didn't play at all.
Is the pool?
had like all the crazy makeup on. It was fucked up. Barbie is just like, let's go to the beach, you know? Like she's Barbie's not. Monster High was kind of cool. I feel like I would have liked Monster High when I was little. I wish Monster High was around when I was little. And Shopkins, I would have loved that. Oh, I still bought stuff anyway. Just like when it came to dolls like that, it was like... Yeah, one day I'll try Spy Hunter. But for now, it's a Barbie challenge. Because I hate myself, apparently. story time. Sorry, so many talking breaks here. Okay, come on, come on, come on.
Yeah. Next, well,
Sorry, folks. We got a little late start, so
I have no excuse.
we're just no excuses. No excuses, man.
All right, I guess we can take these off now.
Oh, are we done?
I don't really need them yet.
Oh shit. Alright, well, welcome everyone, I guess, to Mentally Illest Radio, where we go through the process again and again, pretty much. Go through the process again and again. So today we're going to be talking about the dialectical process, but first we're going to recap for last week. But first, Sam, can you jump on the chat and see if we're still live? And first we're going to go over a recap of last week, but before we do that, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that if YouTube if YouTube cuts me off the air this time, we're just gonna continue recording and go on to Twitch and continue the show there. Hopefully we have. Man, it's been a journey this time. Like, lots of If I digress, I want to digress a little bit. It's the way this show started off was very rough, and coincided with a dream I had recently, where I was sitting in front of a classroom at like a college campus or something, and I was trying to get a presentation together, and I couldn't, and I couldn't figure out like how the computer worked, and everybody was just getting impatient, waiting for me to start. And the teacher announced that I had 16 minutes left because I was like the last one, apparently, to like go. Like I was the last presentation of the day or something, and so like I was still trying to get everything working, and then the computer was freezing, and like I couldn't get into something, like I couldn't log in, and like I was trying to mess with this cord or whatever, but the screen kept flickering on and off. I couldn't even get the, like, you know what I mean, the internet wouldn't connect, you know, and and it was just, it was a nightmare of me just sitting there for 16 minutes until the class eventually lost complete interest and just started talking amongst themselves, and it turned into just like a free roam period where I was sitting there just still trying to set it up, like, hold on, I can get it, I have 2 minutes left, come on, I can get something, this is my only chance, you know, and then like...
Wild.
Yeah, and it's been like tormenting me, like oh my god.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, well, like I said before the show started, these kinds of issues will continue to happen until we master the art of broadcasting, which, you know, is going to take a while. But the fact is, like, this comes with the territory of broadcasting, the sense of just constant performance anxiety. You just have to learn to deal with it. Basically.
Yeah, and also just like, you know, facing your fears. You know, for being absolutely terrified that everything could go wrong.
Yeah.
But still doing it anyway, and like not giving up.
And not letting that stress get the best of you, Yeah,
it's an exercise in stoicism.
Yeah.
Exercise in like willpower or whatever. So to summarize, hopefully maybe we can start. Maybe we can go over this quickly enough to get to the main topic here. But so we covered this idea that everything can be reduced to will and law. That's why the show, this series is called Natural Law and Free Will, because I forgot to tell you the link to my Twitch account, in case this broadcast shuts down. And the link to my Twitch account is Mentally Illest Plays with _. So twitch.tv/MillyIllest mentally_illest_plays, and that's where this broadcast will continue if it gets shut down. So just
when it gets shut down,
when it gets
we
shut
will
down.
see you on the flippity flop.
That's a challenge to you, YouTube. I dare you to shut us down. No, I'm just kidding. Don't shut us down, please. I'm begging you, please.
Honestly, if there's an actual human being who's listening to our stream right now,
It's a mod.
that would be hilarious. I doubt it. I don't think that YouTube has that many mods.
Okay, well, anyway, to continue the show, I'm sorry. So yeah, with that out of the way, just so you know. So to continue from last week, we covered this idea of will and law, this idea that the laws of physics, when they're applied to behavior, you have to account for free will, and that's why there's not instant gratification, instant results from behaviors when it comes to your like relationships with others. This idea of like do unto others.
Wait, so when you say that
It's
when you apply
acts.
natural,
It's acts. It's acts that you like. The
Can
law,
you
the law. The laws of behavior are like they're acts that involve others.
Jared,
Right.
I mean, you just said that when you apply natural law to human behavior, you have to incorporate free will. You have to account for free will.
That's why. That's why there's not instant results, and that's why there's this thing
Okay.
that we discovered.
There's
called,
sort of a gap there, in a sort of an explanatory gap there. So I want you to fill it in and like explain exactly what. Let's define terms. Let's define what it is that. First of all, just for our viewers, when we say applying natural law to behavior, you have to account for free will. Let's define natural law, behavior, and free will. Okay? I know that's like a lot, but just can you try to do that for me real quick?
Yeah, sure. So
Okay.
the natural law is the laws of physics. The law of
Yeah, people have a pretty good understanding of that. We would also include the seven hermetic principles as natural laws, right?
Okay. That's how you define to understand the whole encompassment of what the law is. It's this perfect immutable conditions.
Yeah. Mark Passio has a-
perfectly immutable
hermetically sealed.
results to certain causes.
So Mark Passio, I was watching Mark Passio video earlier, and he has a really good kind of sort of explanation of what a natural law is, or what natural laws are, and it's he says that they are principles of that govern that govern like the universe, and these principles, if you look at the root of the word principle, or like the etymology of the word principle, it comes from a Greek word that means first, chief, lead, all these words that mean original, foundational. Yeah, so basically you need to understand principles first in order to understand anything else that follows. So it's a principle is something
some people would refer to it as an axiom, but an axiom is like isn't the same thing, because an axiom is like it's like what you assume to be. It's basically an assumed belief. That's what people will refer to an axiom but it's assumed on good knowledge and good judgment.
I mean,
because it's based on what we know. So like an axiom would be like we know this because we know this.
Right.
But it's not necessarily a principle in the sense that this is an all-encompassing law of the universe.
That sounds like a proposition. A proposition is an argument that takes the form if X then Y, an if-then statement. And a principle is not a proposition. It's not giving you a relationship between two terms. It's giving you a presupposition by which propositions can be built. So you need principles to build propositions, but you don't need propositions to build principles. So principles, not only
they're self-evident.
Yeah, not only do you need to understand them in order to understand subsequent subjects, also it's not just your understanding of them that matters. It's their ontology. It's not so they need to exist in order for other things to exist.
Yeah.
So, following from that idea, natural laws would be principles put into place by like for now
by God,
we don't need
or
to
by a higher intelligence.
We can say God, but it's
by the source.
It's
basically this idea of consciousness that it came from somewhere.
Okay, the idea here isn't
an individual is an individuated.
So, let's just say
from
this. The
a
idea
whole
here,
or a
the idea
source.
here, we like to invoke God because what we're trying to do is emphasize the nature of principles, which is that they are eternal and immutable, and that like they are the structure that you cannot escape. So with that,
like gravity is a principle, but also the principle of gender.
Yes.
That gender manifests
Yes.
in all forms of
Yes.
consciousness.
And the more we understand,
or the principle of cause and effect. There's always an effect. Every cause,
Mark
a cause, every
Passio
effect.
like to say that hermetically sealed means something that is set in stone and cannot be changed, immutable. So like I don't know if that's exactly what hermetically sealed means.
You say the law of gravity, not the
Yeah.
principle of gravity.
So,
but
the thing about it is that Hermes, the god of learning, the reason that you learn hermetically sealed truths is because once you learn hermetically sealed truths, it gives you the power to exploit the laws in order to get what you want. It like that he literally says that in order to gain your desired outcomes, you learn these 7 principles.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we know what natural laws are. Now you say applied to human behavior. What is human behavior?
Human behavior is the actions that we take. Any actions that we take. But when it comes to the consequences of behavior, what we're specifically referring to is the actions that you take that have an effect on others.
Okay, so
and this comes down to this concept of ownership, which actually exists. It's not that something that we have to agree on that exists, because there is a condition that's created when you take something that doesn't belong to you, that always is created. It's always created. That condition is always created.
What is that condition?
The condition of suffering, the condition of
what is the causal link though? So let's say
that which causes suffering.
Is it a mysterious force that links the actions? For example, if I steal from you, am I visited by mysterious vague suffering, like a karmic effect, or is it a direct is it a mundane?
If someone acquires
like I steal something, therefore.
You're taking someone's energy away from. You're taking someone's fruit that they grew.
How does it visit back to you? That's what I'm trying to say. How do you see that mechanism by which you get
this idea? You're saying how do you prove the idea of take? How do you prove that?
Not the idea of take. The idea of basically what you're saying is like a karmic compensation for everything that you do, right? So if you take something's taken from you, right?
No, I'm just talking about this idea of take, and that it exists. This idea that take exists because when it happens, it creates this condition where these are the desired. It's like something. It's like when you understand the sacred masculine and sacred feminine principle as being like the idea of self-ownership and self-defense and
non-aggression
it's like self-care and self-preservation ultimately. This idea of self-preservation and then this idea of the generative principle.
If I may, isn't the sacred feminine the non-aggression principle?
Yes.
And the sacred masculine is the principle of self-defense?
Yeah, but the self-defense is still the same thing as self-preservation. It's like it's whatever self you're referring to.
But when they're together, they create the generative principle of basically continuing life, of generation.
Like you need
Yeah.
self-defense to protect yourself from
That's something
from
that I
from
realized.
death. In order to defend yourself from falling off out of this life, you have this thing called self-defense and
Yeah.
and this self-preservation thing inside of your consciousness. It's like it's your brainstem, right?
Yeah.
It's your what's it called, the brainstem, and it has survival and just basic like what
The hypothalamus,
basic desire, basic like taking care of basic needs, and not only that, it's like in higher forms it manifests as like planning ahead, right? Like for your life, so that you build what you want. Like you understand how to get what you want, so you manifest it through the will. But it comes from this idea of taking care of the self, self-care, defending, self-protecting, self-preserving, and some people use it. It's the only way that it's used in its balanced form is with the sacred feminine, which is the generative principle.
No. I think you're mistaken.
It needs
no, Jared, no. The generative principle comes about with the union of the sacred masculine and the sacred
What I'm saying is the generative principle is that in its truest form, non-aggression is a part of generation. It's like it's inherent in its.
I think that you're mistaken here. I think that
just like how non-aggression is inherent in self-defense.
No. Non-aggression is inherent the non-aggression is inherent in the feminine principle. Self-defense is inherent in the masculine principle. And when those two principles unite, you have the generative principle. Though you need those two things in order to generate or continue life.
Okay, you're right. I'm using that term incorrectly by referring it to the feminine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think of it almost
just like you need a sperm and an egg.
Well, I think of it. I understand that, but it's still like it's in the woman's womb that grows.
No, but that's the thing. You need that. That would
be. Refer to the earth as the mother.
You still need.
You know what I mean? Like,
you still need both principles in order to generate.
Yes, that's true. Yes, but like I said.
So it would be mistaken to place that.
That's why you understand. That's why you understand these things together, and it's like it's not that one is like one or the other is bad. It's that one out of sync and out of balance with the other has these certain forms, like satanic self-preservation, which is preserving just the ego at the expense of the God inside, the authentic. What is it called? And what's it called in what's his name?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Maybe. I was just trying to
the spirit of man or whatever that was referred to in the Corpus Hermeticum. And Anthropos, right?
Maybe.
Is it Anthropos?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, that does sound right. Anthropos.
Yeah, the spirit of man, and which is the true, which is actually the soul. That's the God soul. That's the human consciousness. That's then separated. It's comprised of individuateds. So it's like.
You're talking about
the collective human consciousness isn't the source. The collective human consciousness is only a fragment of the source, but the collective human consciousness in the cult or in the Gnostic or however this comes from, however you would interpret this as, Anthropos. This is the name of the collective human consciousness. Which isn't necessarily the source. It's just
Jared.
It's the human. It's like the human.
Nope. Anthropos is something else. You're talking about the anima mundi, the world soul.
Well, yeah, but they're referring to. I don't know about the world soul. That's like the earth. That's Earth, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. That. Okay, so maybe Anthropos is the soul of man, and then
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like there's like how there's squirrels or
There's
there's pig.
There's
and
like a collective pig
there's,
soul.
There's like collective pig. There's like exactly.
Okay.
That's what the morphic because the morphic fields are specific to the species.
All right, but then Plato would say, because Plato was the person who first formulated the idea of a morphic field, which is to say the realm of the forms where patterns exist eternally in their ideal state. Wait, Jared, listen. So like, there would be the spirit of man, the spirit of pig, but then there's also the world soul that Plato hypothesizes. I'm going to be talking a lot about that later when I talk about my presentation later. By the way, it's called Astrology Without Mystique. No, just so you know, Astrology Without Mystique: The Uses and Misuses of the Hermetic Mandala. So, what it's going to be talking a lot about is one of the main misuses of astrology, I think currently today, and maybe throughout history, has been this idea that of a world soul, that the idea is that using the Hermetic principle of correspondence, as above, so below, there's been, even Plato, I think, originally hypothesized the existence of a soul that is the entire universe as a whole has a soul or something like that, and that we are part of that soul, and that soul like exists in us in the microcosm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's this idea that the Greek mythos is also encompasses or any mythos really, like every cultures, you have the same archetypes in different forms, and what they are is they correspond to the energies of the planets or whatever, what it's referring to is pretty much that. Yeah, the outer is a reflection of the inner.
I was getting a little bit off track there, but the idea was that basically the animation or the universe is a living animated being, that the physical action and movement that you see corresponds to the action and movement of the soul of the universe, right? That we all inhabit the soul of the universe, but that also the soul of the universe is inhabited or inhabits each of our souls, right?
Yeah.
That they're contained within each other. Okay. Now that idea, I think, is a misuse of astrology. I think that it is a misunderstanding. It's a mystique. It's a false conception born out of ignorance, and that ignorance is the original false identification that mankind had with the world, where the farther back in time you go, the weaker the individual ego is, and the stronger the collective ego is. But that collective ego is not the strong.
Sam,
I'm sorry,
give
not
us
the
a
collective, sorry.
preview, for God's sake.
Sorry, I'm sorry. All right.
Well, that's a little sample for the presentation later.
Getting back to what I was saying, anyway, I did want to make this one point that when you're talking about the spirit of man, and then there's also this proposed spirit of the world, I just want to make this point that that you could actually, there's no reason to hypothesize a world soul, and that just because of the principle of correspondence, just because of the reality of the principle of correspondence, doesn't necessitate the reality of a collective universal consciousness, or even a collective like human animal or something like that. So those ideas, I don't think they're
they're not necessarily like you'd have to study those aspects further, but it's still, you can still study these things when you have the understanding of these basic principles, which is that, like, the principle of mentalism, the principle of mind.
I think it's important to understand that the principle of correspondence does not, what's it called, necessitate a world soul, right?
Yes.
Just by itself. Okay.
So we're not going to stay in this too long, guys, but we're just covering really briefly, even though it's already an hour in, that basically, like, just going over the law, there's these basic principles that if you understand these basic principles, you can pretty much understand any science that you go into, because these principles will show themselves again and again. And this isn't, and I'm going to talk about this later, the difference between confirmation bias and pattern recognition. Okay, this isn't just confirmation bias. People that's such a dismissive term. Like conspiracy theorists, like, oh, okay, well, no, like, that's when you stop thinking. Oh, conspiracy theorist, ding, okay, I don't need to think anymore.
Right.
But if you can, oh, man, this isn't gonna be big. Oh, fuck.
Hey, Jared.
What?
Would you say? I would say that the 7 Hermetic principles, they're not so much. Okay, yes, you could describe them as laws of nature, but that's not as specific as it really is. More specifically, they're laws of being. Anything that is, that has existence. I guess that anything that has existence has existence in nature, because, for instance, God, he actually transcends existence, and these principles don't apply to him. That's something that I found very, very enlightening when I realized it. Concepts like God, by definition, God is would be the one thing that has being, that also transcends these laws of being. So
okay, yeah, the all is referred to as in the Hermeticist
tradition.
In the Hermeticist tradition, and it's this idea that it's unknowable and beyond our ability to comprehend. But what we do know, we can comprehend, is the laws that apply to this realm.
There you go. And that's what Hermes gave people, was a body of laws that applied to this realm of being. Because
we inhabit this realm, so we can inherently we can look and we can observe the consistencies to the results to actions.
Yeah.
And we can conclude a lot based on experiment, the scientific method.
Yeah. So while we are in these bodies, while we are embodied, we will be shaped by these 7 principles, whether you know it or not. It's better to know it, because then you can guide the course of your
it's better to know
life.
It. It's better to know it so that you can start.
That you're shaped by them.
Where you can start understanding and readings and absorbing science as the expert on science, instead of being like just taking scientists' word for it. You understand, okay, I understand how the scientific method works. I understand how we get a fact, because it's based on the what's it called, material, physical observations that we can see too. Empirical, yes.
Which
means which means what?
Observations made in time. It's knowledge gained.
The observable in the material.
Knowledge gained from experiences in time.
Or knowledge gained from experimentation through the scientific method.
Yeah, and that it's based on inductive reasoning, which is actually, that is
inductive reasoning. But we can test the same thing over and over. Like, for instance, if you flip a coin 100 times, it'll most likely come up average about 50-50. Yeah, 50-50. Whether it's 51 or 53, you flip it a whole bunch of more times, and then it'll equal out. Yeah. Because this law of average that exists in the universe.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea that we can test the reality
We can test- we
principle.
can test based on results.
We can test the reality of a principle based on the outcome of trials. And the idea, I mean, the really important thing to understand here is that, well, I would say that even these principles, that even these principles, that they're that how do we verify that something is true? We trust the weight of experiments in its favor. And so, like, basically time tells which things are most true, because time gives more and more experiences to different hypotheses, and the ones that are correct, over time they gain an authority based on the fact that there's so many trials before that worked with that hypothesis. So this inductive method, on a simple level, you could say
it's not just inductive though.
But it is. It's saying,
because
every single crow I've seen is black, therefore all crows are black.
No. That's not the same thing as saying I have tried the coin experiment multiple times and gotten close to the same result enough times to where I know that.
Therefore, there's a law of statistical averages.
Yes.
Okay. But that is the exact same thing as
saying it's inductive reasoning, but it's based. Okay, look, buildings are built based on this inductive reasoning.
Yes.
And
strong
structural
thing,
integrity is based on mathematics.
Yeah, it works.
It works. 100%.
But
that's how technology
works. But it involves placing faith in something. What are you placing faith in? You're placing faith in the understanding that if you carry out a process in the exact same way, like that, it will give you the exact same result.
Yes.
That cause.
If you can
effect. Now that is actually one of the principles.
Cause and effect.
The thing about this, though, this is how it's so powerful about these principles, is that even the law of cause and effect, it can only be discovered through a process of cause and effect, through a process of trial and error, that until you discover, this leads to this. So
this way works better toward my gain.
Yeah, I'm getting a little fuzzy here because it's kind of hard.
It's like you understand the difference between one action that does a random result or something that doesn't benefit you, and then another action which does benefit you, and you realize, if I do this action, I can continue to get the results that benefit me.
Yeah, but that involves a faith in the principle of cause and effect.
Yes.
Because that's the thing.
You have faith in laws.
A lot of people want to say you don't need faith if you have science. But that is not true.
You need faith to test things.
But also you need faith to act. You need faith to act. You cannot act unless you have faith that what you're going to do will culminate in an outcome that you desire. Okay? And that faith comes from experience. It's a sort of empirical faith, and it comes through a combination of experience and knowledge. Because if without knowledge, you can continue to experience the same causes and effects, but not reflect upon them, and so you can never really have faith that doing something will lead to an effect because you've never acquired the knowledge. You can have an experience and let it and not learn anything from it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need the experience, but you also need the knowledge from the experience.
And you also need the mind to be able to see and observe and say, wait a second, that result was similar.
Pattern recognition, an intellect that can recognize pattern. So you need experiences. You need an intellect that can recognize pattern.
Inductive reasoning and faith.
Courage
to act.
Yeah. So, courage to act.
Okay, so
You need the will, the free will, which is your ability to choose, and then not only your ability to choose, but the will to choose. The reason it's like the will is like the noun and it's also the verb, or it's I mean it's the not a verb, it's the
it is a verb.
No, you don't. Oh yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I can see how it could be a noun and a verb.
But I wasn't using it as a verb, but yeah, this idea that you can learn, and that things aren't just random. That you can actually get a grasp of your surroundings and be in control of the results.
Yeah, you can increase your agency.
You can be be in control of your actions. Therefore, you can be in control of the results of your actions.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, we were examining that statement. When you apply natural law to human behavior, you have to incorporate free will. So free will, that's the agency to act differently in a situation, like to have a variety of options. Is that a good way of describing it? A variety of valid of options, of like takeable options, you know?
Yeah, we're gonna get into. We're gonna get into this idea of yes, but first, before we get to dialectics, I wanted to also explain just real quick, go over what we covered when in terms of how the law applies to free will in the sense of the consequences of our behaviors with others. So we understand this idea of ownership that exists, this idea of the principle of gender that's inherent in everyone. Self-defense and self-ownership. This idea of self is this idea of ownership, because it's the idea of the will. The will is you own your actions because they couldn't have any other source than the one who took those actions. So this idea of the source of those things, like those actions which manifested those things, had a source in that person's actions. Therefore, there's that manifested from that person, okay? Whether he acquired it through his actions, or whether he built it, or whether he grew it, or you know what I mean? It's like when somebody puts their action and gets something that doesn't harm anybody else as a result, doesn't cause suffering to anybody else as a result, then that thing belongs and it's owned, can only have been owned by the one whose actions manifested it into existence.
Let me stop you there and just point out something that's a bit of a mystery as far as I'm concerned. If you can only acquire ownership of something through an action that would create it, right? Then how can you own your own will? Because you did not create your own will. You did not create your capacity to have a will. You did not create your capacity to, you know what I mean? You didn't create your own soul.
I mean, you're the only one who controls your will. I mean, you're the only one who's...
Okay, you have agency.
You're the only one whose decision...
Your definition of ownership is that it's acquired rightfully through action, right? Well, okay, in that definition, could you be given something as a gift?
Yeah, was free will a gift? Well, I mean,
it's
like okay. Look,
accepting the gift.
Well, no, the idea of will is, in order for you to even exist in the first place, is to be an individuated from the source. You become an individual from the source, which some people would consider just inherently sinful and just like an abomination. Like, oh my God, it's not the source. It's individuated away from and apart from the source. What a fucking monstrous travesty, or whatever. But what the thing is that however that happened, whether it was a choice, I mean, I think that the source is what ultimately chose to individuate. If the source has will, I'm not even sure. Like that's a whole other That's a whole other
answered
argument.
my question. Wait, did you say that the only way you could own something is by acquiring it through your own
What I'm saying,
actions
what I'm saying is that like
that didn't a trespass on
your will is the only way that you can even exist as a person. So and that's this idea of ownership is like it wouldn't exist without the idea of individuation. Like the idea of will and having a separate decision from the source, having a separate decision from the other wills that are separated from the source, is like that's a part of being separate from.
Can I just ask you something, Jared, please? Like, if I give you something, okay, then do you, first of all, like, would you have to accept it in order to own it?
No, I don't necessarily. That's what I'm saying, because it's like I don't know. Like I don't know.
Okay, I think that yes, you would have to ascend to like accepting the gift in order to actually own it, or else it's not yours. It's just near you or something. So that said, like, you can acquire something through accepting a gift. You can acquire something through any other actions that
You can
manifest
do
something through.
Like if you want boiled water, there's a way to boil water.
Yeah, you can manifest it by
If you want boiled
taking
water,
a series of steps that manifest it. Now,
Yeah.
we were talking about ownership, though. Does that boiling water, is that, like, properly yours because you made it come about? Like, would it be violence or, like, a trespass of me to take your boiling water from you if you're the one that boiled it?
I guess it would.
So, anything that you consciously are affecting, like...
I mean, obviously, you don't have to battle for every little thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like I made this snowball here, and then somebody came and stole my snowball. I can just make another snowball. It was no problem.
But that's the thing. It's like, wouldn't
But if you built, let's say you built a whole igloo,
somebody like,
and then somebody came and then
Mark Passio would say that that stealing a snowball, like that puts a bounty on your head, basically. Like, somebody could do something equivalent to you, and like that's natural law would permit that or something like that, right?
Well, I mean, I think that anybody around them could see the situation for what it is, because like we said, we were talking, like last week we went over how when it comes to these behaviors, it comes to memetics, which is this idea that what you do creates a condition of potentialities in others, and there's a whole meme pool of things, of the ways that people respond, and if self-defense exists as a principle, then everybody rightfully knows when somebody actually defended themselves to prevent further damage to themselves. It's like you can see it for what it is. Anybody can see it for what it is. So if they see it, it's partly based on perception, because there is the actual condition that's created if people are seeing clearly and balancedly, and then there could be an illusory perspective where it's like you're a moral relativist, or you think that in this culture it's okay to like have the children drink the cum of the elders or whatever.
Okay, all right.
as part of their initiation process or whatever, or like suck the dicks or whatever of the
Sure.
Weird crazy shit where it's like that's fucking pedophilia. No, that's another culture. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
Well, that's predatorial though. Like those children are asking for that, and they're like forcing themselves on the children, but like hypnotizing them to believe it's part of their tradition first. It still doesn't change the act itself, which is it's not really consensual, because it's not beneficial, and it's like the child is being affected in a way that's going to change his whole life, and it's not conducive to real lasting and balanced interactions and relationships. You know what I mean? It's creating like a discourse, or not discourse, but an out of tune sequence of perception or an out of tune, like that kind of behavior is out of tune with like, you know what I mean?
Discordant. Yeah.
It's discordant, and it's out of tune with a balanced and healthy interactions.
All right. So
Meaning, and balanced and healthy being defined as what doesn't cause like suffering and turmoil, and there's a such thing as damaging the psyche too.
All right. Well, let's pause there, Jared. Like, is there anything in natural law that states that a healthy psyche is ideal? Like, is there anything in natural law that states that you should avoid pain and pursue pleasure? Like, because those are psychic principles. Freud called them the death drive and the pleasure principle, or eros and thanatos. But like, so basically, like like the pleasure principle is the
What does that have to do with?
Okay, well, I'm just saying, natural law like gives you an understanding of cause and effect, and
the conditions that are created from certain actions,
doesn't give you
how it affects the psyches and the condition of others.
Jared,
they're still free to choose how to react,
Jared,
but the condition that creates is inherent, and it is
all right, so,
immutable, and it always causes the same condition.
What is the condition that it creates?
This a condition of
unhealthiness,
right? of out of balance, discordance.
Okay, yeah, discordance.
Damage to the psyche.
So
like,
is there anything in natural law? Because I think that we both need to research the Hermetic tradition more, which is where these laws derive from. The Hermetic corpus. It's a big book. There's a lot in there. Wait.
You're going back to Hermeticism. We're talking about the law as it applies to memetics.
Jared, wait, just a second.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Okay. Just fucking snipped a thought I was doing.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get there. Just shut up for a second, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, the 7 principles that we've outlined here, as applied to memetics, right? Which is the replication of behavior. Ideas and behavior. So when you're saying that that good comes from good, bad comes from bad, kind of, it's like that the
I didn't say good and bad ever.
Okay, but you're saying orderly and disorderly, or discordant, and like these you said
that it's like
normal,
different ways of understanding the term
and
which causes suffering.
Yeah. Okay. So Jared, listen. My question was this: where in the 7 principles, or in the memetics, where is the principle, the hard and fast principle, natural law that we're looking for here, that states that pleasure is good and pain is bad,
It's like goes without saying kind of thing.
That's the thing, is that we don't do that here. We don't go without saying things.
Okay, what is pleasure? And this relationship to pain. All right. Okay, it's a legitimate thing. The relationship to pain. That's not the subject of today's show, but yeah. I guess it is the elephant in the room.
Because it defines morality and value is
there's conditions that are horrible for everyone.
And everyone can agree.
And universally horrible. Okay, there's conditions that are universally horrible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of this relationship we have to pain. All right. We know that if we don't put our foot forward when we're walking,
yeah,
and we don't like bring this, you know what I mean? If we don't walk right, we'll fall and hit our head on the ground, and it'll fucking hurt, and we'll have busted up fucking lip,
Okay, so-
and it'll take like a few days or a few weeks to heal. We might need stitches or whatever,
And there's an
it might
ideal.
and
There's
it might get
heaven and
infected
hell,
unless you clean it.
Right, so there's hell.
Right?
We all know what hell feels like and is. We all know what heaven feels like and is. Okay, but where is the principle in Hermeticism that states that you should go in the direction of heaven and not hell? Or that you should go in a direction at all? You know, like for instance in Buddhism, they would say don't go in the direction of either. In order to avoid pain, you don't pursue pleasure. And in order to avoid,
that's the thing. People
like-
choose that they either want heaven or hell. But I think that inherently they have this idea of returning to the source, or the principle of rhythm, which states. Let's go back to that real quick.
Okay.
The principle of rhythm states that everything flows in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is a measure to the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. When in the chapter of rhythm, when it goes into this idea of ebb and flow, in and out, the seasons change, but they revolve in a circle and eventually come back to the same state. Is this idea of in and out, ebb and flow, this rhythm of out and in, okay? And if we are extending away from the source as being part of our experience as an individual, then inevitably we have to come back to the source. We have to return. It's this idea of we have to return. And as you get out from the source, you experience more pain. And as you become closer to the source, it's this idea of you, by understanding the spirit or the intention of the law. The intention of the law when it comes to the law of memetics and the law of suffering is like, we're here in this existence to understand what actions cause suffering. So that what? So that what? Why do certain things cause pain?
So that what? Yeah. So that you can
Learn to build heaven.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
So
learn-
that you can approach heaven.
So
yeah.
that you can learn how to climb the ladder
Yeah.
and climb into
so that you can return to God.
to,
yeah.
to,
so
cl- to
return
create
to the source, yeah.
to create better conditions.
Okay, so that's interesting. You're saying rhythm explains the idea that
We inevitably must follow our true nature, which is our God nature, and follow its desires and come into terms and understanding with the laws, especially in regards to the law of suffering. What
Jared,
causes suffering
Jared,
and what causes suffering for others.
The reason I don't accept that as an explanation of, I guess, like why you should pursue heaven, well, because separating from the source is essentially pursuing hell, and returning to the source is pursuing heaven, and we're destined to follow this rhythm of going back and forth. But
Unless you defy it.
the problem
and
with
then-
that, the problem with that is it
Right.
doesn't paint a very optimistic picture.
But then in
because
the
it
end, you
kind
still
of
return.
implies, yeah, it still implies that if you're a saint in this lifetime, if you're as close to the source as you could be, that the only place you have to go is fall, right? And that like so I don't like that idea. I don't think that I don't reject the idea that falling is a going away from the source, and that.
Well, wait a second. We talked about this idea of perfection that exists, like that. There's two different ways of looking at this. There's everything is right unless it's wrong, which is that as long as you don't fuck up and do something wrong and bad and harm somebody else and attract those kinds of memes into your life and live a good life, you're fine. You don't got to worry about anything else. Or this idea of everything is wrong unless it's absolutely perfect, because everything is just degrees of wrong. Like there's a certain threshold where it passes into not perfect and into morally wrong, which is what causes suffering and then attracts suffering or death upon yourself.
Yeah.
But then everything above that, just because it doesn't kill you, harm you, physically or harm others physically. You're not attracting physical harm.
You could think of it as
could
standing still in relation to God, as opposed to
you-
moving away or towards Him. It's just neutral, standing still, right? Like it
Well,
doesn't.
preserving
yeah.
a certain state of mind or a certain lifestyle, because that's the way you like it, like that.
Okay, so there's also that third state of motion, which is
Like,
to not be moving.
To choose to not grow or learn.
Yeah.
And just be fine where you are.
Okay,
right?
so, but Jared, wait. I just wanted to say that. Okay, perfection. That when you're saying that there's the one idea that there's degrees, or that there's you're only perfect if there's no flaws, and then there's the idea that I would say actually that's not true. That's not exactly right. Like.
No, it's not. It's not that there's only perfect if there's no
there's
flaws.
There's 2 ways to be perfect.
We're talking about doing something perfect.
Okay, so
not being perfect, but
yeah.
doing something the right way.
Okay, so
like
Jared,
like doing something the way where there's no resistance and it absolutely works. It perfectly with your intention, and it's because you applied your knowledge of the law in perfectly. You perfectly predicted the law, and you made an action which completely was in line with the law and therefore meant no resistance to your intention.
Right. Okay. All right. So,
but then also perfect in the sense of in the same nature and in tune with the source.
Okay.
Just because you can perfectly execute an evil action.
Yeah. Exactly. No, perfection. The perfection of an action has nothing to do with its moral value.
No. We're talking about the perfection based on 2 different factors.
The perfection of an action has to do with
it can be perfectly it can be perfectly executed to be in alignment with your own will.
Yeah.
But out of alignment with the higher will, which is you're denying yourself.
Yeah.
You're causing suffering to yourself and others, and therefore it's an imperfect and faulty action.
Yeah. So,
but to you executed it perfectly, so you just like give yourself a little pat on the back or whatever.
Right, but Jared, like there's this other use of the word perfect, which is to perfect something. Like that's a verb. It means to make something perfect, right?
To perfect.
Yeah, so you have to start from a fallen place of brokenness in order to perfect something. You can't perfect something that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Can't make something more perfect than perfect.
Well, that's why.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's why there's so much to take into account. We're here to learn, but like once we perfect a certain thing, we move on to the next level. And now that we got that down, now that's just something that's like we just keep up on the side, and now we have another challenge.
Yeah.
To meet while we're still just keeping that up because we got that down.
That's the thing. Okay, so I want to point out a simple difference between the cosmology, or what's it called? The what's it called? Teleology. The teleology of a Platonic universe, which is eternal, or that would also be like the Buddhist idea of the cosmos of totally eternal, no beginning, no end. Also, Hindus believe that. There's a lot of religions that believe in an eternal universe. Christianity is not one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Christianity does not believe that the universe has no beginning and no end. It believes that this universe had a beginning and that it will have an end and be replaced by a new creation. Okay, so that is starkly different from the one that's actually, I think, being presented here in the 7 Hermetic Principles. I don't think that... Okay, I'm sorry, it's not being presented here. It can, without any other information, that's the only picture that you could create, is one of a cosmos that has no beginning and no end because of this principle of rhythm. Well, you know, if there's a start, then there had...
No, there was a beginning, because there was a time when we weren't individuated. There was a time when this realm... It's talking about this realm. but like this the idea of this doesn't claim that the
How can
universe
you claim
this
that
doesn't
the
claim
law-
wait this doesn't claim that there's no beginning to the universe. This claims that there's no beginning to the source, that any beginning to this universe is unknowable. Like there's no way I mean, unless you count the Big Bang and you realize that, you know, you look at the red shift, whatever, from all the planets, because you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The red shift.
Yeah.
And you can see that they're all moving away from each other. So then mathematically they must have all had a point of origin, which they were all at the same place. That's the thing that's concluded by that.
Yeah.
And that would be like the beginning of the expansion, the original expansion of this universe. Who knows if it's an oscillating universe? Who knows if it's a, you know, whatever. Like that's a whole other field. That's talking about purely materialism, okay? And we're not talking about the origins of the universe here.
Okay, I guess you're right. But,
we're talking about the principles that are in effect.
But we are also talking about like how do you derive a morality from these laws? And the thing is, like, if you're talking about the source and your distance from the source, that is an explanation.
How do you derive morality from these laws? Okay.
Yeah.
The principle of gender and the principle of cause and effect, and the principle of mind, it's all one thing. It's explaining different things. Principle of vibration, it's explaining this idea of the immutable conditions or inherent what's it called, potentialities,
and by morality I mean, and why should we why should we have
the results to every action is
by morality I mean values, which is sympathies and antipathies. Why should we like certain things and dislike other things, or like, you know what I mean, or like why should we do one thing instead of another? Because that like, and that has to do with like your values, what outcomes you desire, like what. And it's like this, it's like, sure, maybe it has nothing to say about what you should desire. It just tells you how to get what you desire.
No. These are things that we're talking about as a result of just these simple stating these things. By understanding that these are inherent in the universe, we can
use them to get what we desire. Right?
We go to the next step and realize that understanding the reason why this information has value is because it can give you the resources to manifest what you desire. Just because you understand that you can learn.
However,
based on specific results which are immutable, and you can have faith in them because they're evident. If you just pay attention, they're evident all the time, everywhere. You can look around, you can see that it's evident.
Right, but why is but why is there evil in the world if okay, I'm sorry. I think that the reason there's evil in the world is because these principles do not give you I don't know.
Yes, they do, Sam. What are you talking about?
Wait. You don't know what I'm saying. You don't know what I'm saying yet. These principles, I don't think they provide you with an incentive to do what is right. I don't think they provide you with an incentive to do what is right. They provide you with a technique to do what you want.
They don't provide you with anything. We're just talking about...
Yes, they do. They provide you with the ability to do what you want, to get what you want, right?
Yeah, but you're talking about it as if it's like a belief system.
No. I'm saying, what do you gain from knowing these things? You gain the ability to do and get things, right?
Yeah, but also there's not just that though, but also to like keep yourself alive, stay out of trouble, to plan ahead.
Literally, yes, to do and get things.
To care for yourself.
Yeah, so you can get more life. Yes, that's one of the things you
can
get.
Or so that you can avoid death.
Okay, so yes, like these are all things you can get, or avoid.
Or avoid pain.
Okay, so yes, like. So what I'm trying to say
is... That's the main thing, to avoid pain.
But Jared, like, nowhere in the principles does it tell you to avoid pain or to pursue virtue.
Yeah, exactly. Nowhere it tells you that, but we're talking about how this information has value. The reason why it has value is because it can help you to avoid pain. That's why it has value.
My question is this, Jared. My question is this. Okay, so, like, we both agree with that. The Sophocles saying that Zeus teaches wisdom through suffering, although, like, yeah. So, I mean, more accurately, it would be Kronos, not Zeus, but that experience teaches wisdom through suffering, and experience teaches the Hermetic principles to somebody, which accelerates their ability to avoid suffering. It's a tool that aids.
It's a tool that many might say makes it where you don't need a savior.
Okay, so that
or that you don't need redemption,
Jared,
because
no,
you yourself,
literally,
through this process of avoiding pain, are redeeming yourself.
Here's where I'm going with this, Jared. Is that you know, these give you tools for avoiding suffering, but the reason that we still need a savior is because avoiding suffering is not equivalent to acquiring pleasure, or put in another way, like doing something worthwhile, or getting fulfillment. Okay, just because you're not in pain doesn't mean you're living a ideal life. Okay, and like that's why you need maybe I don't know if saviorism is exactly the right word for this, but
well, this is just the law part of it.
As long as we acknowledge that it's an incomplete picture. It's
incomplete because the only reason why any of this has value is because of what it can give to the will and to the individual. The individual will, what the individual wants. This is just like by itself. All this all this says is teach us how to avoid pain, but not just to avoid pain, because that's, like I said, to avoid death, but also to get more life, like you said, or to.
Wait. Okay, it teaches you how to avoid pain and how to acquire pleasure, but it does not teach you the nature of what is painful and what is pleasurable. So that's the thing. The only thing that ever gives you that is experience, right? Wisdom, which is the knowledge of good and evil, is acquired through experience, and experience gives you suffering, and it's through suffering that you gain like a knowledge of good and evil. Okay, it's like these tools, they're only useful to somebody who already has wisdom. Does that make any sense to you, Jared? You have to acquire wisdom before...
Wisdom is action, not knowledge.
No, wisdom is the acquired knowledge of good and evil through experience.
No, that's grammar and knowledge. That's not.
Or no, I'm sorry.
Wisdom is
the
applied.
I'm sorry.
It's applied into action.
Sorry. Wisdom is the developed temperament to desire, like, or to do and desire like the right thing. Like it's like fucking wisdom is a disposition that like that
if I could continue with my presentation,
but no,
eventually.
Okay, I will, but Jared, like, I'm just saying that learning these principles does not give you any knowledge of either like good and evil, or
yes, it does. You just said, because you said you learn good and evil through the avoidance or through the understanding or relationship with pain and pleasure.
But these tools, these Hermetic principles, are tools for avoiding pain and for acquiring pleasure, but they don't give you an understanding of what is painful and pleasurable. Experience in time gives you that understanding, not the Hermetic principles. Right?
You're saying you have to go through something to experience the pain in order to...
I'm saying Hermetic principles would mean nothing to somebody who has not experienced pain.
Wait, are you saying that somebody has to experience pain in order to want to avoid it?
Or pleasure. They have to experience pleasure in order to want to
Sam,
want it.
Being born into this world, you're
There's
impossible.
pain and pleasure. Yes.
Like
okay.
part of birth is your mother is in pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You experience
You
emotionally.
enter in extremely emotional state in the world,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's an extremely painful, you could say. But you know, some people say it's like a mixture of pain and pleasure that's like indescribably linked. You know, but
pain is something that exists, and then we understand that our actions can control our pain. And,
yes,
and
but
somebody else's pain.
I'm saying that there are two teachers in the room. There's two teachers in the room. If you're just going to say that the fucking the law is what's so like essentially you're talking about like Saturn is the lawgiver, and then Venus is the sensual feeler of pain and pleasure, okay? And like you need both of them to have a complete understanding of how to act, okay? You can't just know what like pain and pleasure feel like without any understanding of cause and effect or the law or principles.
Yeah, you need knowledge.
And you can't just have knowledge without
experience
any
you're
understanding of pleasure or pain. Like
you're saying,
you can't start with just
there's the
these
knowledge.
and then,
Okay, there's the knowledge of pain, and there's the experience with pain.
Yeah.
And the experience of pain is inevitable.
Right.
But the knowledge of pain
Yeah.
is not inevitable.
But more importantly, they do not give birth to each other. Okay? Just the mere fact of experiencing pleasure and pain does not give you the structure that Saturn gives, that the law, and just merely having the fucking laws on the tablet does not give you the experience of pleasure and pain in this world. Literally they're working together, but they don't create each other. They do not create each other. So
oh my god.
Okay, go on. Okay, so yeah, it's just really important to understand that morality isn't derived from the Hermetic principles.
No, morality is derived from knowledge of self. Okay, but we understand what causes pain through the Hermetic principles, but then understanding what we truly want by understanding ourselves, understanding our higher nature, understanding God essentially, is what connecting to God inside of you. That's that's where you find out what you truly want. That's where you understand the intention of the law, because the law is like alluding to something. Why do these things cause why does these things cause pain?
No, specifically, how do these things cause pain? You're not. If you answer why, you're getting into theology.
Okay, no, Sam, shut up for a second. I'm sorry, I won't tell you to shut up, but can you just let me talk, please? Why do these things cause pain? The fact is that these things cause pain. Certain actions cause pain. Why do these actions cause pain? It's just set up that way.
No, how?
No, not how.
This answers how they cause pain.
No, yes, these cause but I'm asking something that I'm just asking as a result of understanding how. Okay, look at the trivium answers the who, what, where, and when of a subject. Then you go to the formal logic, which is the why. Why does this cause pain? Why do these actions cause pain? Okay, the reason why they cause pain is because there's an intention. The tension is inside you, because the will and the law they both come from the source in this realm.
So when they're at odds, that tension is pain. Is what you're saying?
I guess you could say it that way.
But okay, can you go back to that? Can you go back to that other? I want to look at that. Okay, so these are for studying a subject. So if we're talking about morality, for example.
Or we're talking about the trivium the Hermetic principles. The who, what, where, and when of the Hermetic principles. whatever.
So that's natural law, right? But that's different than I guess our sympathies and antipathies or our values. Like, don't you see how they're different? What would you call that second category? In philosophy, it's called axiology. We could call it axiology if you want, but like I really don't like that like term. But it's basically like there's the how something works, and but then there's
like the axe, people's axe.
No, axiom, like, but
okay, I see.
Yeah, but it's like the study of value, and so like, can you go back to that one page? Yeah. So yeah, natural law is the.
So I want to get to this in my presentation in its due time.
Fun. Okay. All right.
Okay, so so to continue the recap, hopefully we can not get into. We've already taken 2 hours here, but so when we understand how the law doesn't apply always like cause and effect. It doesn't like, yes, just to reiterate again, with how the law interacts with memetics. Again, how like cognitive element that might be copied, they generate thoughts. Okay, there's the replication, the viral spreading of thoughts. They compete. Successful means spread, which means that whatever is successful at what it's trying to do, someone sees that and they go, "Oh, that was a very successfully applied expression, and I want to do that." Like that's something that's imitatable. And we went over how the idea of original sin was based. We unwrapped it, as Michael Tessarion would say. We unwrapped this idea of original sin as not being something that's inherent, because obviously the will, and like, we're not inherently anything. We have no inherent qualities. When you understand, when we talk about the will and memes, the reason why we get into the trivium is because now we're talking about the will side of it. Like, what the science we're talking about is the science of the psyche now, the science of learning. How not only how memes transfer, but then how people learn memes so that they can imitate them. Like a meme. This is just the basic, like a cognitive element that might be copied, like violence, or like any meme. You know what I mean? Like holding your pencil a certain way, or you know what I mean? The way that you build a copy machine that's like that, like, works really well. The way you build a computer really well. The way you build a car really well. Okay, but in order to go through the process of learning that meme, you take it through the trivium process. This is like the science of how people learn. Like, you understand how, just like how the Hermetic principles, these are laws in effect. Everything is a certain way. You can use the scientific method to know that there's always these results to these actions, and that this is how things work. Like, the sun rises at this time. The sun is comprised of these molecules, vibrating at a high speed, and it's nuclear, and it gives off, all these facts that you can understand based on applied sciences, applied scientific method to get certain results, which can be read and say, okay, this is comprised of helium and oxygen or whatever. So, and you understand how that's how things work. Everything works a certain way. Learning is only possible because of this consistency to the results of behavior or any action. Like when something falls out of the sky because it's been traveling through space for however how many years, it hits our atmosphere, and then a certain result happens. That's always going to happen because it was traveling at this speed and it was traveling at this angle, and it hit and it met this much resistance of heat, and it either completely evaporated into the Earth's atmosphere, resulting as a shooting star, or it crashed into the ocean, or whatever. It's like there's a certain result, and it's all based on laws because it works a certain way. So that's how you can predict things. That's how you can plan ahead. That's how you can learn things. That's how you can imitate. That's how you can imitate memes. And the art and the science of how it works, how your brain operates when it learns a meme to generate a imitated replication of that meme. It goes through this trivium process. Okay, the grammar, the logic. And I might as well just go into my presentation finally on dialectics right now. So, when we get into the grammar step, where we talk about we're answering why, we're developing the faculty of reason and establishing valid, non-contradictory relationships among facts in systematic understanding. Non-contradictory meaning we take it through the dialectical process. Let me just actually go here first. Google hella fucking obfuscates everything. I mean, look at this. Hegel's dialectics refers to the particular dialectical method of argument employed by the 19th century German philosopher Hegel, which, like other dialectical methods, relies on a contradictory process between opposing sides. Yeah, that doesn't explain anything. Basically, the dialectical method is thesis, antithesis, synthesis. We understand the why by or understanding what something really is. It's like, I wouldn't say that the dialectical process is this. It's like that the dialectical process is taking place within the grammar step, where we're establishing valid non-contradictory relationships. What this is talking about by establishing valid non-contradictory relationship is, what's it called? When you what's it called when you narrow something down through no negatives?
Oh yeah,
process of elimination. God damn it! It's process of elimination,
yeah.
Or apophysis.
Apotheosis.
No.
Apophasis.
To understand something apophatically. All right. It's this doesn't really explain it either. Look at this. This is so fucking obfuscated. Is a rhetorical device wherein the speaker or writer brings up a subject by either denying it or denying that it should be brought up.
Apophatic knowledge. I think that's specific.
No, it's apophatic inquiry or whatever.
Apophatic knowledge.
Let me just go to images. That's a lot better. Here we go. A method of logical reasoning employed when given a limited set of possibilities in order to arrive at knowledge by way of the exclusion of known negatives. What something is not. You describe what something is by explaining what it is not. After you affirm it through the negation of everything else. So, like, you understand what an apple is by distinguishing it from other fruits. You distinguish an apple from other fruits to understand what an apple really is. Okay? And it's the same thing with anything. When you want to distinguish a certain personality trait, it's like, it's not this, it's not that, it's this, because we know that it's not this or that. It basically, this is what a dialectic is. A dialectic is thesis, antithesis, what something is, antithesis, what something is not.
You learn the thesis. You can learn what the thesis is by learning what the antithesis of it is.
Yes.
Okay.
The antithesis is the exclusion of everything it's not. What was I going to put in? Basically this or that. What was that commercial called? The Hyundai commercial?
That's a false dialectic.
Oh shit. What the fuck? I put in hamster and it comes with X hamster. Damn it.
You put in Hindi, not Hyundai.
How do you spell Hyundai?
I don't know.
Hyundai?
No, it's AI.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
It wasn't even Hyundai.
I know, it's just whatever.
Baby, I'm playing on you tonight. Here they come, yo. Here they come. Here they come. This or that. This or that. Come on. Where's the black sheep? Here's the black sheep.
Oh, whoops. Oh shit, I had that muted. Damn it.
Wait, what?
I had it muted since I played the commercial or whatever. Whoops. Go ahead.
Alright, well,
Damn it, that sucks.
yeah, that really sucks. Well, what I was trying to say was, okay, so, like, oh my god, that sucks.
So just to recap, you guys, sorry about that we muted that right there, but so basically, fuck, that fucking sucks so bad. See, it's stuff like that. Dialectics is this or that.
No. That's false dialectics.
Oh no, well no, but it's this idea.
No, wait, Jared, stop. Okay,
Okay.
so what I was trying to say earlier was that, like if you learn the truth through dialectics, like you still like the way that you learn the truth is like through a dialectical process, and then when you arrive at like you know, the synthesis that you didn't have at first, and like that's your thesis, that you continually okay, so like when we use walking as an example, I'm really trying to understand this. When you learn how to walk, you did that because through a process of thesis and antithesis. So thesis is what walking is, antithesis is what it's not, and you
falling is what it's not.
Yeah, falling is what it's not. What would be the synthesis in that situation exactly? Like, because this is like a really hard fucking concept to, I want to map it out correctly. So like, yeah, like what would it be in that situation when you said like learning how to walk?
Once you learn how to walk and you're already putting it into effect, then as part of walking, you face other challenges, like running, like jumping, and also like dealing with everything in your everyday life that you're doing that you can encounter and experience as a result of you being on that level of being able to just walk around and do that as second nature. So like once you learn how to do something, we're talking about like learning how to do, like not just like understanding something. Yes, when you understand something, that has to be challenged over and over again. But when you take what you know and you put it into practice, it becomes second nature because it's working and giving you the opportunity to face bigger and harder challenges as a result of you putting them into practice.
So then if the thesis was walking and the antithesis was falling, the synthesis would be what?
What'd you say?
If the thesis is walking, or okay, let's say the synthesis is walking and the antithesis is falling, then what's the thesis? Like I just want to map it on the simple.
Say that one more time.
Okay, if we were going to map this dialectical process onto the process of learning how to walk, like, how would you define the terms?
That walking is that when you put one foot in front of the other, that's a thesis, and then the antithesis is how to do that where you fall, and then you come to, and then as a result of you studying how to not fall, you figure out the synthesis, which is as a result of figuring out how to not fall, which is to not walk. You, as a result, learn how to walk. That's the synthesis of learning how to walk.
So
You learn how to not fall, which is the antithesis.
Three terms are step, which is not falling.
Or like this idea of I want to walk, put one foot in front of the other, and don't fall.
Okay, so walking is
is the combination of a thesis and an antithesis. The thesis is taking a step, or like putting one foot in front of the other, and the antithesis is not falling. But also you could see it as like because it sounds like you're breaking down a process into.
Well, also let's talk about the self. If you're going to talk about
what is walking.
What is this? What is the self? What is God? What is not yourself? What is not God? What is?
I don't want to do it with complex terms if I can't even do it with fucking simple ass scenario. So.
Okay.
Yeah, like if.
Well, there's all that's only one perspective. There's also the trivium, which is like the who, what, where, and when of walking or of fishing or of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish or whatever you're trying to discover about something. Whether it's you're getting to the how at the end, which is how to explain it all, like you summarize for somebody else or for yourself. That's so you learn something, or it's how to now apply that action of what you were trying to do in the first place. You can use this to learn the way something is, or you can use this to learn how to do something. Either way, it's going to be taken through these 3 steps of the trivium and through these 3 steps of the dialectical process.
Okay.
Now, I just want to read a little bit of this. Oh my God, I'm so discouraged by the fact that they missed that whole, like, when we stopped at the video and then we had this whole we took it through the dialectical process live, so that kind of sucks that. Because eventually we're going to get to false dialectics. There's this idea of you're trying to establish the truth, so you're taking it through the process of apophasis, of negating the known negatives of something. And then there's this idea of confirmation bias and pattern recognition. You know, you recognize the pattern of what this. Oh, is it this? Because this sounds familiar to this. So is it this? And then you take it through. Oh, is it this? Oh, it is that. Okay, or it's not that. You know what I mean? It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. And until you realize that, oh, this is talking about this thing. The way we took it through the whole, is anthropos the world soul? No, anthropos is not the world soul. You know what I mean? Anthropos is just the spirit of man. The way that a pig is the spirit of pigs or whatever. So there's this idea of it comes down. It's reduced to 2 because it's when you're trying to figure out how to do something, it's the right way and the wrong way, and when you're trying to discover something, it's the truth about it, and it's the false, and it's the false. It's what it's not, and what you think it is, but what you think sounds like it is, because you recognize the pattern of this sounds like this, but then you take it through thesis, antithesis. Is it not that? Now, then there's this idea of false dialectics, which is using this. Well, first, before I get to false dialectics, I just want to read a little bit of this. Dialectics is a term to describe a method of philosophical argument that involves some sort of contradictory process between opposing sides. In what is best the most classic version of dialectics, the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, for instance, presented his philosophical argument as a back-and-forth dialogue or debate, generally between the character of Socrates on one side and some person or group of people to whom Socrates was talking, his interlocutors on the other. In the course of the dialogues, Socrates' interlocutors propose definitions of philosophical concepts or express views that Socrates challenges or opposes. The back-and-forth debate between opposing sides produce a kind of linear progression or evolution in philosophical view or positions as the dialogues go along. Socrates' interlocutors change or refine their views in response to Socrates' challenges and come to adopt more sophisticated views. The back and forth dialogue between Socrates and his interlocutors thus become Plato's way of arguing against the earlier, less sophisticated views or propositions, and for the more sophisticated ones later. Because you're taking it through this process of elimination, of distinguishing it specifically from everything else. And by taking it through that process, I'm just saying this, by taking it through that process, you become to more sophisticated views. Or more detailed understanding. Socrates' dialectics refers to the particular dialectical method of argument employed by the 19th century German philosopher J.W.F. Hegel, which, like other dialectical methods, relies on a contradictory process between opposing sides, whereas Plato's opposing sides were people, Socrates and his interlocutors. However, what the opposing sides are in Hegel's work depends on the subject matter he discusses. In his work on logic, for instance, the opposing sides are different definitions of logical concepts that are opposed to one another. In the phenomenology of spirit, which presents Hegel's epistemology or philosophy of knowledge, the opposing sides are different definitions of consciousness and of the object that consciousness is aware of or claims to know. Aware of or claims to know. So you're trying to distinguish the truth from your perspective. You're trying to distinguish the truth from your perspective. In the phenomenology of spirit, which presents Hegel's epistemology or philosophy of knowledge, the opposing sides are different definitions of consciousness and of the object that consciousness is aware of or claims to know.
Yeah, so the antithesis and the thesis are opposing sides in that they're opposing
the truth and then what the consciousness is aware of or claims to know.
No, but they're both attempting to describe the same thing.
Which is the truth.
Yeah, you can do it apophatically through an antithesis, through negation, or you can do it affirmatively through a positive definition or something.
No, but you can't. But in order to learn about something.
But the thing is, you can't simply positively describe something. You can't acquire knowledge of it that way. You have to have both. Yeah, it's both that creates.
Well, because distinguishment is about eliminating the inconsistencies.
But without a positive assertion, you have nothing to distinguish.
Yes, that's why it starts with a thesis.
Yeah.
The thesis is like the thesis is like the proposal for truth.
But Jared, it almost sounds like with the sentence you just read. It almost sounds like it's running in the opposite direction. That you start with an antithesis. You start with a synthesis, and then you break it down into its component parts. That is to say.
Oh, what would happen first, the chicken or the egg? Because there was this thing called. Before you decided to take it through a process, this process was already happening.
So I'm just trying to understand the theory of dialectic, which is a theory of how knowledge is acquired, or maybe a theory of how how consciousness develops. So it's like if it's developing linearly from thesis to antithesis to synthesis.
To new thesis.
Yeah, that would be one thing, but it sounds almost like he's saying, if you read that last sentence again.
He's saying, in the phenomenology of spirit, which presents Hegel's epistemology or philosophy of knowledge, the opposing sides are different definitions of consciousness and of the object. The different definitions of consciousness and of the object that consciousness is aware or claims to know. So it's both. This idea of opposing sides takes into account the different perspectives of consciousness and the object.
So it's saying consciousness has two aspects: a positive and a negative aspect, and what it is and what it is not, and that also the objects that consciousness knows also have that quality as well. Okay.
So as in Plato's dialogues, a contradictory process between opposing sides in Hegel's in Hegel's dialectics leads to a linear evolution or development from less sophisticated definitions or views to more sophisticated ones later. The dialectical process thus constitutes Hegel's method for arguing against the earlier, less sophisticated definitions or views, and for the more sophisticated ones later. Hegel regarded this dialectical method or speculative mode of cognition as the hallmark of his philosophy, and used the same method in the Phenomenology of Spirit, as well as all the mature works he published later, the entire Encyclopedia of Philosophical Sciences, including the first part, the Lesser Logic or Encyclopedia Logic, the Science of Logic, and the Philosophy of Right. Note that although Hegel acknowledges that his dialectical method was part of a philosophical tradition stretching...
Our preeminent philosopher, Master Chief.
I know, right? Was a part of a philosophical tradition stretching back to Plato, he criticized Plato's version of dialectics. He argued that Plato's dialectics deal only with limited philosophical claims and is unable to get back beyond skepticism or nothingness. According to the logic of a traditional reductio ad absurdum argument, if the premise of an argument leads to a contradiction, we must conclude that the premises are false.
Right.
Which leaves us with no premises or with nothing. We must then wait around for a new premises to spring up arbitrarily from somewhere else, and then see whether those new premises put us back into nothingness or emptiness once again. If they do, too, lead to a contradiction. Because Hegel believed that reason necessarily generates contradictions, as we will see, he thought new premises will indeed produce further contradictions. As he puts the argument, then, the skepticism that ends up with the bare abstraction of nothingness or emptiness cannot get any further from there, but must wait to see whether something new comes along and what it is, in order to throw it too into the same empty abyss. So you need the imagination to be able to come up with a new thesis. Not every synthesis is a new thesis. Some syntheses lead to dead ends. Oh, it's not that. Well, what else is it? I don't know.
Yeah, you need grace, basically. I think that's what it's describing. Grace is when, like,
you need the idea of
something from without, like.
You need imagination, or you need outside stimulus. Either way, you need something. You need like a new proposition, which comes from
a saving grace. That's what I'm saying.
It comes from the imagination.
I'm saying that thought can lead into dead ends, and then you need the saving grace of an unrelated thesis to come in and either, like, help you make sense of this dead end, or help you just evacuate it, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
So you need a saving grace of a new thesis.
Hegel argues that because Plato's dialectics cannot get beyond arbitrariness and skepticism, it generates only approximate truths, and falls short of being a genuine science. So yeah, that's where it's, I guess, the flaw is that you can use the dialectical method
it doesn't guarantee results.
Yeah, no. You can use the dialectical method, and if you have good imagination and an instinct and good guesswork and the courage and faith to test your guesses, you can only come to an approximation, which is not the same thing as an actual study of. You can't, like, just because you arrive at a certain conclusion based on no negatives isn't the same thing as studying that thing specifically. You're only arriving at
one aspect of it.
You're only arriving at it because you've excluded everything else and determined through that process that it could only be this thing. But that's not the same thing. That's only approximate truth and understanding without studying that thing directly or reading more about it, taking in more grammar. It comes to a point where you need to take in more grammar. Exactly. Like it's like saying this. I mean, you take it through the faculty of reason, establishing valid, non-contradictory relationships among systematic understanding of something. But then, in order to challenge that understanding and come to a greater understanding, then that understanding, you need to then go back and take in more logic, more grammar. You need to take in more outside information. Otherwise, you'll fall into dead ends and nothingness and skepticism.
Yeah.
So I'm getting very tired, so I'm gonna leave it at this.
Sorry.
Actually, wait. So one more thing. We talked about dialectics. We understand how the process in which you arrive at truth through the exclusion of known negatives as being part of the trivia method process that happens as part of any learning that you do. But you can also be tricked because this is how you learn, and because antithesis, the dialectical process is something that happens inherently. It's not something you have to learn how to do. It's something that's already happening. Once you understand it, then you can utilize it to help to further assist your truth discovery method. But you can also use this knowledge as a weapon, as a sword against others. You can understand how the dialectical process works, and you can trick people with false dialectics, which is false options.
Do those false options lead to a false synthesis?
Yes. It's always your desired synthesis. That's the idea of the Hegelian dialectic is also this idea of problem. People refer to, usually people understand the Hegel's dialectics as the dialectical method, or what is it called? The Hegelian dialectic. That's what it's called. And this is problem, reaction, solution. It's how governments trick people into going along with their agendas, because they take it through the process of there's a new fear, there's a new enemy, there's this new thing that you have to be afraid of.
So what they're doing essentially, I think what a false dialectic is...
And they're using dialectics to trick you into needing their service.
Hold up. Fucking hold up. You know how we were saying earlier, like, the difference between going forwards and backwards in this process? Like, going forwards would be, like, pursuing your thesis in order to learn more about its antithesis, or vice versa, and through that you acquire a synthesis of the whole subject. However, going backwards would be, you have your synthesis, and then you describe it positively and negatively, thereby creating its thereby, like, in retrospect, synthesizing its thesis and antithesis. Or I don't know if synthesizing is the right word, generating. In retrospect, generating the thesis and antithesis. That would be, I think, the creation of a false dialectic, because that's what they're doing. They have their desired outcome, and then they create they create what it is and what it isn't. Like, they create these parts, these component parts, based on what the outcome is. Like, what it isn't is going to be based on what you want. You know what I mean? So, like, once you've defined what you want, you can define what it is and what it isn't, and then, because you have these parts defined, if you introduce the synthesis in an environment, you can predict what the thesis and antithesis will look like. And if so like, for instance, okay, so desired outcome, you want, and we're talking about, and specifically, false dialectics apply to influencing people, right? That's like, so dialectics in itself is not about influencing people, it's the process by which people acquire knowledge of a subject. And a false dialectic is a tool of manipulation used to influence influence the actions that people take. And those actions that they take are seen as, okay, so if the synthesis is, I want to do this or that, or I want somebody else to do this or that, if the synthesis is manipulating an outcome so that you can do something or that somebody else does something, you know what I mean? If that's what the outcome you want to do is, then you have to create a condition where the only possible options are things that lead to that outcome.
Yeah.
And
it's a controlled. Yeah, it's a controlled process that you're like they understand that like basically the false dialectic is government and you giving up your rights, like and they're tricking you.
What is the synthesis?
And
I'm sorry, Jared. Wait. What is their goal here? Like, because you have to start with describing what the synthesis is if you're describing as false dialectic. So, what is the false synthesis here? That is it domination? Is it? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Right?
No, the synthesis is you need us. Like because they're saying
you need to define that more technically. The synthesis is a.
Can I explain it?
Okay.
It's like saying
self-enslavement or self-imposed.
You can have Coke or Pepsi, but you're gonna fucking have this product. You're gonna have cola. Like
okay, yeah.
You know,
So the synthesis is slavery, okay, but it's not just by force, because they literally don't have the power to forcibly enslave everybody on Earth. It needs to be self-imposed slavery if it's going to work, correct? Right? Like
yeah.
Okay.
We need to choose it.
Yeah. So the synthesis
to trick somebody into choosing
their desired outcome is not simply our enslavement, because that wouldn't work if it was just by like force. Their desired outcome is our self-chosen enslavement, right? Our decision to enslave ourselves is their.
Our decision to choose the relationship with them.
No, yeah, our decision to choose to be enslaved. Yeah.
No, to choose them as our protectors and to give up our rights to have them protect us. Choose.
Right, but ultimately they don't care about protecting us; they care about enslaving us.
But we don't.
That's what they're thinking about it as. We can't think about it from our point of view, because this isn't.
They don't say.
Synthesis.
They don't say, do you want slavery?
This isn't our synthesis. This is their synthesis. So when we talk about the thesis and antithesis, then we're going to be talking about what our options are and how we see things. But for now, take yourself out of your head, put yourself in the head of somebody making this false dialectic. Their goal is to enslave us, but by our own, is to have us choose our own enslavement. That's their goal, right? Okay.
Which means that they have to trick us into thinking that there's a problem.
Wait. Okay,
and then
thesis and antithesis.
And then give us the choices of our reactions.
So, thesis and antithesis. Thesis.
Problem.
Thesis is wait.
Problem, reaction, solution. That's thesis, antithesis, synthesis.
But Jared, hold up. What did you say?
Problem, reaction, solution.
No, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm not gonna go there yet. That's I think a lot of these things are really confused, and we need to approach it way, way, way slower than that. So wait. So.
Can I try to paint this?
No, wait. What do you mean by reaction? What is I see what you mean by problem, and I see what you mean by solution. What do you mean by reaction?
There's a wolf outside. We can either board up our windows and stay inside and hide.
There we go.
Or-
Okay, there we go. So now, here we go. Those three terms do not map onto the three terms of thesis, antithesis, synthesis in a false dialectic. It goes, there's this outside term, problem, and then you have reaction, which encompasses the thesis and antithesis, and solution, which is the synthesis. Okay? So the problem is a like in this whole thing, like we can either do this or that. That's the false thesis and antithesis that leads to a false synthesis. But the impetus of those things, the problem, the impetus, fucking we have to, with a false dialectic. That's why I'm just like, don't just throw that in there. Don't just throw that in there.
Can I say something?
What?
Okay, so like, for instance, if you're trying to get somebody to accept a new form of slavery, okay, you have to think to yourself, this is what we're going to propose, but we can't propose this outright because people will go, that's slavery.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fucked up. But if we can get them to think that it's for their own good, which means there has to be a problem in which this could be a possible solution to that problem. So if we generate a problem and then convince them that it's enough of a problem, and we control we control like the perceived dialogue that people are having, because people don't even know how to have this dialogue. They just watch the news and they go, there's a new blah 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 blah, and then Congress is talking about doing this. Well, Democrats are talking about doing that, and then they go, well, we've implemented based on all of the data that now we need to wear masks. And people are like, okay, that makes sense because they proposed this and they proposed that and they came to an agreement between those two propositions, because this problem is really something that's real and that we need to address, we the government, because we're under the false impression that we are the government. So like the government is us thinking, the media is us thinking, we are addressing this new problem as a society. Like this new problem presented itself to society, and now we are convinced that it is a problem.
You keep
talking. So we're convinced that it's a problem, and we don't even understand this problem. Well, we can only understand this problem by understanding now what the possible solutions are. It's like we understand this problem by reacting to it first and foremost. Do we need to quarantine ourselves? Do we need to social distance? Do we need to, these are false options of how to address an actual pandemic, you know what I mean? But these are options being presented as it's almost like the,
Oh, wait. So these...
Basically understanding that people need to be taken through this process to accept something. They're exploiting how to get somebody to come to a conclusion about something. So they give them their options. Here's the problem, here are your options. Pick one. Because those two options I gave you. I'm the one who told you about the problem, so that because I told you about the problem, you're looking to me to address it with you. It's like somebody comes to you with a problem, and the person says, what are we going to do about it? Should we do this or should we do that? That person has taken the role of establishing the known options. Also, when you come to somebody telling them that there's a problem, especially when it's like a new fear, puts them in a state of fear.
Problem.
Puts them in a state of low consciousness, and what's it called? You put somebody in a state of fear, and they're susceptible to suggestion. They're more suggestible. Oh no! I gotta be afraid of this. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then that person's more suggestible. Hey, well, how about we do this? Oh, really? Should I try that? Should I try that? I'm so afraid. I don't know what to do. I feel unsure of myself. I feel like I'm not. I feel like that this problem is beyond me. It's something I can't deal with as an individual. Like, it's like saying this. It's like when what's his name? What's that guy who did the OxyClean commercial? Billy Hayes? Is that his name? The guy who did the OxyClean
The
commercial?
antithesis, yeah, the antithesis is the problem. Okay,
So like it's like when Billy Hayes says, "Do you hate it when your laundry is? Do you hate it when you get all those stains on your fridge and on your tombstones? You know, like, don't you hate this problem that you didn't even know you had? Well, guess what? These are your options. You can go with the regular. You can go with the regular generic brand cleaners, or you can go with this. You can go with this, or you can go with that, or you can go with this, or you can go with that." Oh my God! I didn't even realize that that this is such a problem. I think you're right. I think I should try these. I mean, since you know more about the problem than me, I'm gonna trust that you know the best courses of action, and then I'm so glad that you were able to think out those options for me, so that I'm able to make a proper decision, because I'm in no place to reason out my own solutions or possible solutions or options that I have to deal with this problem that you're just telling me about. That I'm just gonna believe you. I'm not gonna establish for myself what's a real problem for me. You know, since this is a problem that I'm not even eligible to address, then I'm not even eligible to weigh my options. I have to listen to the experts weigh my options for me. So the experts weighs your options with a dialectic. You can go, it's a false dialectic. It's taking you through a process and tricking you into forgetting any possible options or solutions other than the ones that they suggest that would be that is in alignment with their agenda, what they want to accomplish. They wouldn't be able to if not for as a solution to the proposed problem, which they create. They create the problem. They create the problem, they offer you the options. You choose between the options that they offer you. You don't understand that there's a process that everybody goes through when they're when they learn anything. You know what I mean? Like, if we were to study the danger of the flu ourselves, we would come to a whole different set of options that we have to address a flu pandemic than social distance, wear a mask, and take the vaccine. There's a lot of other false dialectics too out there. You know, like
Okay, wait, here's the thing, it's like when somebody's employing a false dialectic, essentially what they're doing is they have something in mind that they want you to come to. It's like Inception. Like, they have something in mind that they want you to come to the conclusion of, and think that you did when you influenced them in reality to do it. And you do that by the way that you introduce a false dialectic. You have to have power to do it, because you have to have the power to introduce things.
you gotta have power over the grammar.
Well, you have to have power to introduce things.
Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood?
Hollywood?
Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywood? Who has the most power over our grammar? Disney? Hollywo
The grammar is all the outside information that we're taking into our
you can if you have the power to introduce things into our immediate diet, then that's one way that you could introduce false dialectic, that you could rather instantiate or begin a false dialectic. What makes it a false dialectic and not a regular process of learning is that what you're learning and the fact that you're learning it is artificially is solely the intention of somebody else who doesn't want you to know that it's their intention, and B, like wants something that is against your interest. Because if it wasn't against your interest, there would be no reason to employ a false dialectic. You could say you're doing something for their own good, but then that's actually a good question. Can you employ a false dialectic for someone's own good, Jared?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you definitely could. You could be like this. You'd be like, hey, you're a fat, lazy piece of shit. Now look, you can either stay in bed and eat all you want and continue to get lazy and fat, or you can fucking get off your ass, start fucking doing cardio every single day, working out, eating a healthy diet.
That's not a good.
Someone's like, by God, those are my only two choices.
No.
Even though if there's other choices besides just that, you're using a false dialectic to get them to benefit.
That doesn't lead to a good outcome. Like, at least think of an example that leads to a good outcome, because you're just giving an example of somebody who develops an eating disorder. So like.
No, I'm saying if you wanted to trick somebody into getting healthy.
Yeah, but you're using an example. You're using an example where you motivate someone using like pathological, like, incentives. Okay, so I'm just saying, can you think of an example where you use false dialectic to motivate someone in such a way where not only is the thing that they're getting good, but the means by which they get it doesn't corrupt them or something like that. Like they aren't like being like, because in that example, or somebody's like if in my current state I'm disgusting piece of shit, and until I get to fitness, I'm disgusting and horrible and gross, and these are my two options. I'm either fat and disgusting, or I'm athletic and acceptable. So yeah, that's obviously not true. But if they believe it, then it's gonna whip them into shape, and they're gonna get into shape. At what cost? They're going to have no good relationships. They're going to be lonely and miserable. Like, if that's what they believe about themselves, because then it will extend to being what they believe about other people. And
if they believe what?
If they believe that their value is based on their fucking physical appearance, then of course they're going to fucking have a miserable life, horrible relationships. You know what I mean? Like. Okay, so
what does this have to do with...
My point is this. My question was, could you employ false dialectic for someone's own good? You gave me an example that does not do what I asked. It does not employ it for their own good. You got a result, which is fitness, but that is not a good result. I asked if you could do it for someone's own good.
Okay, that's what you're saying. If somebody doesn't understand the reason why they're doing something and they're being tricked into doing it, then inherently it's not good for them.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, there has to be a true dialectic. Always has
a dialectic can be used to reveal the truth to somebody too.
Yeah.
Like look, bro, you've been texting this girl. She's not responding to you.
She wants other dick.
She wants other guys. You have no other choices besides either to let her go or to just continue texting and doing what you're doing.
Right.
That's a true dialectic. Like, okay,
that's a false dialectic.
No, that's true. It's like okay.
That's not true.
I can either continue what I'm doing or I can try something else.
Okay, it's not exactly true because what you're trying to do is get a certain outcome.
No,
And, like-
you're not. No, you're not. You're just revealing the truth to them that what they're doing isn't working, and that the only two choices they have is to continue doing or to stop doing it. When you simplify it for them using a dialectic, you're giving them the truth using a dialectic.
Okay, but Jared, it's
You're-
actually okay.
You're clarifying their options, where it's like it's not you can do this and maybe do this, or you can do this and that, or it's like reducing it down to the main two options. Either you give up on this.
No, it's like this. It's okay. The fact is, Jared, just because a dialectic is not a false dialectic doesn't mean that what it's giving you is unvarnished truth. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, that's why I said
that's the whole point of dialectics is that it's an ever refining.
It's
like
approximate truth, like
okay,
like talked about.
relative to the last proposition. Yeah. Okay. So, like relative to the last proposition, it's a little bit more true. That doesn't mean it's true. Okay. You can be less true and more true. It's still not like completely true. So that's not what differentiates a true and false dialectic. That's why it's sort of a weird term. When we say true dialectic as opposed to a false dialectic, we're not saying that it's giving you it's letting you learn something true, because a false dialectic can have you learn something true, and a true dialectic. Anyway, like the difference is that
it's a mode of speech that can help someone understand something better.
Yes. Okay. Good. But so in its positive form, it's a mode of speech that can help advance truth.
Or to lie to someone.
But in its negative form, it's a mode of speech that isn't used to enhance truth.
Lies to someone.
No, that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to enhance the likelihood of an outcome, not to it's not a tool to enhance truth when it's being used negatively. It's a tool to enhance the likelihood of an outcome, right?
Yeah, the likelihood of somebody's choice.
Oh yeah, the likelihood of the outcome of somebody's yeah, exactly, the likelihood
of somebody's choice.
Of somebody's choice.
You're influencing somebody else. It's mind control.
Yeah,
you can use it as mind control to influence somebody else's truth to your
right.
But if you
so the difference is
if a dialectic
you could use the exact same dialectic with two separate intentions. So you could be somebody like a good friend who's employing a dialectic to help somebody. How did you say it? To help see things, or to reduce it to their options, to what their options really are. To help someone advance their understanding of truth, even if it's not true, like that's the nature of dialectics, is that it's a developing process. But you could use that exact same argument, but as a evil person who, like, let's say they want to fuck that girl, and like they're just using this dialectic, like in this moment they're using a false dialectic to influence a person's choice in order to gain their outcome. So basically, the content of a dialectic is not what makes it a false dialectic. It is the intention of the person employing it that makes it a false dialectic. Correct?
It's not necessarily the intention that makes it false. It's the it's the whether or not it obscures the truth or clarifies the truth.
But that's the thing. No, because
something can clarify the truth for someone, but still be intended to manipulate them.
Okay, no. We're talking about the successful attempts to manipulate someone's behavior or to manipulate their understanding of the truth. Like, if you're successful in doing that, okay, so, man, you really just, we already agreed.
If you're successful at getting somebody to believe something.
We already agreed that you can learn true things from a false dialectic, and like that the purpose of a false dialectic is either to get someone to believe something false or to get them to do something that you want them to do,
like maybe believing something false is the desired outcome.
Sam, usually
But-
you have to lie to somebody to get them to do what you want them to do if it's against their best judgment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No,
so
yeah,
like,
but we're trying to define what a false dialectic is.
what makes it
opposed to-
false is when it's a lying. When you're lying, it makes it false.
Jared, but like lying is defined as so like the intention to deceive, and you know like fucking
Not just the intention to deceive, giving somebody false options.
literally that's not the definition of lying, because
No,
that would
I'm
make
not saying
that
that's
would
the
make
definition of lying. I'm saying that's
no,
the definition
no,
of false dialectic.
No, Jared. Okay, lying is when you intentionally deceive someone. You can unintentionally mislead someone, but deception, lying, is when you intentionally mislead someone. Okay, you can unintentionally give the wrong math answer. That's not lying, right?
No, it's not. You're right.
Lying is defined by intention.
Yes.
And so is a false dialectic. By its very nature, a false dialectic is a dialectic that's employed with the intention to acquire
Or to deceive.
well, with the intention, to either.
It doesn't have to
No,
be.
yeah, no,
It
it has to be. Okay, so
It doesn't have to be to manipulate somebody. It can also just be to deceive them.
no, but Jared,
You can use a
Decep-
dialectic. A false
deception is a
dialect-
form of manipulation. Deception is a form of manipulation.
But if it's not.
Deception is a form of
Okay,
manipulation.
but if it's not to your benefit,
No,
it's still a
still
lie.
manipulating somebody. You are manipulating somebody when you deceive them. You are like you're
I'm not arguing whether or not it's manipulation. I'm
okay,
arguing
so-
about whether or not it's intended to get something.
okay, Jared, like fucking if you're intending to deceive somebody, you're intending to get something.
Nope. Not
Yes.
necessarily, no.
You are intending for an outcome to happen.
Just deception alone doesn't
Don't be
get
dumb.
doesn't
Don't
get
be
anything
dumb.
for you.
Literally, don't be dumb. The object that you are attempting to get is to deceive somebody. Is to have somebody deceived. That is an object. Don't be dumb.
Can you listen to what I'm saying?
What?
You can lie just to lie. You don't have to lie. You don't have to get anything from it.
Okay, but a lie, the definition of a lie is to intentionally deceive, to intentionally mislead somebody. The object of a lie is to get somebody to believe something that isn't true intentionally. Okay?
Mhm.
So when you
But the intention
you-
isn't to get something always.
okay, you're talking about getting something like a secondary benefit. I'm talking about getting the fact of, like, you know that duper's delight when people smile when they're getting away with a lie? That's because when you lie, you are getting something just by lying. You are seeking something, which is to successfully deceive somebody. Okay?
Okay.
So it is an object that you are acquiring, that you're trying to get. Okay? It's like, yeah, so I think you can successfully define a false dialectic as a dialectic that's employed with the intention of acquiring something. That isn't truth. With the intention of acquiring something besides the truth.
Okay.
Because dialectics is supposed to be used to, like, acquire the truth. So when you manipulate that process to get something else, that's a false dialectic. Like when you
Sure.
create, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't see the intention to deceive as the same thing as
Like acquiring the duping of somebody.
well, to manipulate someone's behavior.
No, but just in itself could be like just to acquire that duping of somebody, pulling one over on somebody. That's an object in itself of a false dialectic. It can be the object of a false dialectic, or getting something material benefit for the person could be. What brings those two together? What makes those both examples of false dialectics is that you're employing dialectic to A, get something, and B, get it by manipulating somebody else, or get something besides the truth by manipulating somebody else.
Yeah.
If you were even trying to get the truth,
I mean, but what if your intention? Yeah, I guess.
if your intention was getting the truth,
Yeah, I guess a false dialectic is two things. It's to, but you're saying it's the same thing, but it doesn't matter either way, whether or not our disagreement.
well, no, it's not
Our,
the
dis-
same
our
thing.
disagreement
Okay.
doesn't really matter that much. Whether
Okay.
it's two different things or whether it's one thing, it's whether or not these two things are the same thing, or whether you want to make the distinction between the two.
Well, not that they're the same, but that
They're basically what
Okay.
the definition of a dialectic, which is to deceive somebody or just to reiterate, to manipulate their behavior.
okay. So
To
a
just-
false dialectic is to employ dialectic to deceive someone or to manipulate them. Their behavior.
Which you think is the same
Yeah.
thing.
Okay,
but
maybe, yeah,
But
yeah,
essentially,
Let's-
that's the definition.
we can expand it just to be thorough in describing all of the parts. Okay, yeah. So, that's a really good. Yeah, I think that's a good work we've done to do that, because I think it sheds light. I've been thinking a lot about how news cycles come about, and how a lot of them, I'm starting to realize, probably all of them. Let's be honest. Probably all of them are most of them are false dialectics.
False dialectics is
so
like the main tool
they were
of mind control besides hypnosis.
They were born in a boardroom like 3 to 5 months ago, maybe a year ago if it's a big thing like a shooting or something.
Traumatizing somebody
Yeah.
works too.
Yeah, these scandals
Drugging
that come out,
somebody.
these scandals that come out that influence like elections or that influence this or that. These are all examples of they could be organic. It's possible, but given the nature of our media environment, it's statistically unlikely that like a lot of them are. Like it's more likely that a lot of these, or I guess a better way of saying this is it's guaranteed that you are encountering at least one, or at least some, like news cycles that are actually examples of false dialectics, because they
Exactly. Every single one of them is.
Well, you could say it, but that's harder to argue than just saying they exist.
Well, whenever there's like a new proposal from government, and it's through the form of news media broadcasts.
Yeah. So yeah, but like a good example of this, I don't know if this is true. This is speculation. Let's just go with me here, okay? There's a congressional candidate running for Congress, Alex Morse, in Massachusetts. He was running against, his opponent was in the same party, they're both Democrats. He's running for the same seat, but he's trying to unseat the current Democrat that had the seat. So he's trying, it's called like primarying somebody. It's where you basically take their spot in being, in going up against the Republican in the primary, for the seat. So this incumbent who held the seat for like 15 years, he's being challenged by this up-and-comer guy named Alex Morse. And what happened is scandal came out where the university in Massachusetts has a college Democrats group, and they published a letter around before the primary election, which was held yesterday. And Alex Morse lost, by the way, just so you know. But anyway, like this letter came out, and it said, we're distancing ourselves. We're retracting our endorsement of Alex Morse because of allegations of sexual conduct he's had with students, with college students, when he himself was lecturing on campus, like teaching a class. And so, like, they worded this letter in such a way where it sounded as if he was doing very improper things, like dating his own students, things that would definitely, like, be a scandal. So they did that, and following the publication of this letter, all these other groups that had endorsed him immediately retracted their endorsement. Oh, we don't we don't support abusers, we don't support predators, you know. So this starts happening. Then suddenly it comes out that the original letter was totally fraudulent. That in fact, if you read the original letter, there's no actual allegations in it. That no students. I'm sorry. There's allegations. None of the allegations come from students. None of the allegations came from victims. No victims came forward saying Alex Morse did anything wrong. In fact, these allegations are coming from somebody in the Young Democrats Association who was trying to get a job on the.
Okay, I get it. They trick people into trusting this guy because of a false.
No, but so the result. Yeah, so you see where this is going.
Yeah.
You see where this is going.
Yeah.
So suddenly, public sentiment swings into favor of this dude because not only is he just a young guys trying to unseat a less progressive candidate. That's not enough for people. He is a victim of woke Me Too mobs that are that are flagrantly destroying the fledgling progressive movement in this country.
That's an example of false dialectic in politics. But I don't like talking. I mean, politics is so ridiculous.
That is the domain of false dialectics, though. So in the political realm, I think the main politics are like, the main dialectics are beyond just politics. Oh, like in the cultural, but
cultural
dialectics. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, it is totally possible that this was schemed up in a boardroom where they're like, we want to test the waters and see if this anti-woke left movement is really like strong enough. If they're galvanized to support somebody because of the anti-woke sentiment, like, is that strong enough to unseat an incumbent Democrat that has like broad support and it has he's had that seat forever in this district. So like, turns out no, like he actually lost the primary yesterday. The incumbent won. So turns out this whole sex scandal that wasn't a scandal, but the real scandal was the fact that somebody was trying to make a scandal. That wasn't enough, to generate like enough support to,
to get him the win.
Yeah. But the fact, it's so complex. The scandal, the real scandal here, if this is true, the real scandal would be that somebody plotted to get Alex Morse elected by creating a fake scandal that was meant to be exposed and generate support for the person, Yeah,
but then that could also be another. That could have been a dialectic to get the other person elected too.
Oh no! But that's the thing is that. Okay, yeah, it could be
like his opponent. Like, oh, there's all this stuff going on with this guy.
No, but that's the thing is that it would be that normally it would be that, but then it came out that.
Just generating
buzz. That's what it was supposed to be. That's the thing. That's what it was supposed to be. That's literally what they presented it.
So boring.
No, wait. This is interesting. Jared, this is interesting. They presented their false dialectic in. Okay, their false dialectic is a false dialectic that contains a false dialectic inside of it, and that false dialectic inside of it was a little treat for the public to figure out. And figuring out that false dialectic, the one that was meant to be exposed, was part of this larger false dialectic. So the small one was the thesis, well, the problem. Oh no, this guy's a predator, sex creep. This the solution.
No, the reaction.
Or the reaction. We could elect a predator, or we could elect a non-predator. Solution, we elect the non-predator. Alright, so that would be, if that was the actual scandal, that would be where it stays. But then it came out that, oh, this is a false dialectic, guys. Look at this, everyone, it's a false dialectic.
Somebody came out with this to try to, ruin his reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
So as a result, now you can assume that he's a victim and also and actually a pretty trustworthy guy because these things that we thought were bad are actually untrue.
Think about how sophisticated.
It was uncovered that this person's actually a trustworthy person.
Think about how sophisticated this false dialectic is, that it contains a false dialectic inside of it that's intended to be exposed. And that is the problem. The problem
Well,
in
that's
this...
how you gatekeep.
The problem
right?
in this larger dialectic, the problem is, oh no, a false dialectic emerged that's trying to influence us. What are our solutions? A, we could just be duped by it.
Exactly.
Or B, we could elect the other guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, do you see, like, they understand that society is getting more sophisticated. They see things like QAnon and fucking, you know, like...
Well, yeah. Well, there's this thing called controlled opposition.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Like, Donald Trump is the controlled opposition to the New World Order. He's the president. So
it's
like,
the nesting of...
He's the alternative. He's the alternative viewpoint, or like the counterpoint to New World Order.
Yeah.
Which is Donald Trump and the Q-tards.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a false dialectic.
So yeah, I
right
think.
there.
So yeah, that's the thing. It's like the nature of grand false dialectics today in our modern moment is that they contain nested within them other false dialectics that are intended to be exposed, and that is the problem.
That's the new problem.
That's the problem.
That's used as part of the reaction solution to get what they want.
I'll illustrate it, and I think that after that we're gonna wrap it up because
we probably don't have time for your half this time. We'll probably just close out with an intro or whatever.
Yeah. So then
with an outro is what I meant to say. But I'll leave it to you. You can do whatever you want for the rest of the show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like. I mean, I think, honestly, I think we described it. I don't need to do that. I am not going to go into my part of the show because I'm too tired to.
We've used all the time to talk about and to expand upon the previous the previous show's topics, which was original sin, memetics, and how it results, how it interacts with the law, how free will interacts with the law. And then going into, now that we understand that free will is involved in the way people react to the conditions that behaviors create, we have to understand how memes transfer in how people learn memes and the psychology of learning and the processes of learning. So we talked about the trivial method and we talked about the dialectical method. And dialectics
users by giving them false options. And the Hegelian dialectic is particularly false options. And then their solution is always state violence and more laws. They trick you into it. Helps people to understand the dialectic reduce things down to what they're not. Basically, reduce something down to what they're not.
Yeah, we're talking about real tools that that basically like are the only real way to advance your understanding of truth. To advance your understanding of truth is to go through these steps. It's the only way to do it.
It's already happening. It's already happening.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
either going to be aware of your
It's
grammar.
hard. Also, it's hard work. It's the feeling you get when you've been reading like a book really intensely for too long. It's because you're just doing dialectical process in your head, and it's like it's hard work. It expends energy, and it makes your eyes sleepy after a while, and you can't fucking keep your eyes open, and like so like this stuff, the fact that it's hard to do in itself is, I think, is proof that it's worthwhile, that you actually are generating something that lasts, that's durable, it's probably more, it's the alchemical gold. It's more valuable than any physical thing that you could construct, because it's the basis upon which all those things will come. It's like your understanding of truth and your wisdom is the most durable thing that you can construct in your lifetime. It's a true foundation. Yeah. And it's the true wellspring of wealth too, because to manifest what you want, you need to understand how the law works and what behaviors result in what benefits you, and you need to learn how to learn. Yeah. You learn how to learn so that you can learn how to do what you want. All right, do you want to close it out?
I think that's everything. We'll see you next time on Mentally Illest Radio. And did you have anything else to play?
Oh no, I'm done. I just wanna say that that we're gonna figure this out, the audio thing, and next week will be a lot more pleasant. I think that the all around is gonna go a lot smoother. I'm really like the discussion we had this time. I think that I'm surprised by how much we actually got through. So yeah, thanks for everything.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! It looks like we got some comments here. Hold on, let's just the comments.
What the fuck?
This is my buddy Gustavo.